Motions and resolutions. The clerk will report the motion.
Daudt moves that House Concurrent Resolution Number 1 be recalled from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration and be placed upon its adoption.
The Minority Leader, Representative Daudt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Today is a very exciting day in that it's fun to see people's faces and see them smile. People aren't wearing their masks, which is fantastic. Which also is good news because it means that the vaccine is working and we can put COVID into our rearview mirror. So one of the final things that we need to do to close that out is to end the governor's emergency powers. And I think yesterday was all the news that any of us need to vote in favor of ending those emergency powers, because obviously once the mask mandate's gone, there's no reason to leave them in place. So I would encourage members, I know we voted on this a number of times, but this is what we absolutely need to do to restore the power balance and make sure that this legislature has a voice again in working with the chief executive. And it is vitally important that we end the emergency powers now. Couple of little injustices still left. I think people are finding out today that while the governor ended the mask mandate in the state of Minnesota, that actually the people who are least affected, least impacted, and least vulnerable of COVID are the people who still have to wear masks when they go to school. And unfortunately, we know that our governor missed the boat on getting kids back in school once the data actually showed that it was safe for them to be there. In fact, shockingly enough, the data showed that it was safer to be in school for those kids than it was for them to be at their homes. And yet our governor listened to the teachers union and left those kids at home. And I think we all have a fear that those kids, for the most part, we have a generation of students who will lose a year of their education. And I think it really, more than anything, breaks my heart that the fact that our governor has actually expanded the achievement gap in this state, a state that already has the highest achievement gap in the country. So not only is it the right thing to do because the mask mandate's over, COVID's in our rearview mirror, it's time now for us to get back to normal. We are still here in session, and today is absolutely the day to end the emergency powers. We must right the injustice that our governor has placed on our schools. And I know that our governor is a science denier. I know that we all know that, and that he wants to listen to the teachers union instead of following the science.
Point of order, Madam
COVID.
Speaker.
But unfortunately,
Representative Winkler, state your point of order.
Madam Speaker, Representative Daudt is arraigning the motives of the chief executive and engaging in a personality attack, as we've seen repeatedly. It's time for that to be over too.
I'll just remind members that they should confine their remarks to the question before the House and avoid personalities. Representative Daudt.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. I would just note that actually arraigning the motives of our governor is completely in order here. Although I will note I was not arraigning his motives. I was simply stating the fact that he is a science denier. And we know that because he didn't put the kids back into school when the science said that it was safe to do so. In fact, safer for them to be in school than for them to be at home. And we know, because science has told us, that COVID was an incredibly serious virus if you are elderly and in a nursing home. And in fact, the data shows that if you are elderly and in a nursing home, COVID is as much as 2,000 times or more severe for that population than it is for a child in an elementary school. And we also know that the earliest and biggest supporter of our governor was the teachers union. So it is a fact that he's in their back pocket and that he makes decisions based on what they say and not on the science that shows that kids are safe when they're in school. So it is imperative that we end these emergency powers and we right that injustice. Because if you vote to continue the emergency powers, you are voting to expand the achievement gap and increase the achievement gap for those kids. And we already know that if you're a minority student in the Minneapolis School District, you have less than a 50% chance of graduating from high school. That is shocking, and it is un-Minnesotan. And our governor has put those kids a full year behind now. So it's our job to get them back in the classroom, to get these final emergency executive orders ended, and to right this injustice and this policy that really is going to hurt those folks in the minority community, frankly, more than others. And I just think it's shocking. And I apologize if you don't like my words on the House floor, but I just feel moved today to speak the truth. And maybe it's the fact that I don't have a mask on my face today, and I feel liberated. But I want to liberate the kids who are being held behind in our schools because of the unjust policies of our governor. So this is your opportunity to speak out and to support our young learners and make sure that they have the opportunities that they deserve, which is to be in a classroom with a teacher who does an incredible job and cares about them. Members, I would ask, in fact, I'd very strongly encourage every one of us. Let's not, and it's just, I don't want to just, let's not just have a vote today. Let's make it unanimous. Let's say that we're going to all vote in favor of those young learners. Every single one of us. Let's fill the board with green votes. And let's show those young learners that we're not going to leave them behind anymore. And they can take those masks off. They can all return to school 5 days a week. And they can get caught up with the teachers who are doing such a great job and care so much about them. So unfortunately, the governor still thinks he needs to hold on to these emergency powers, and we know he's been late to the ball game right along consistently in this process. When the CDC is coming out and saying that you don't need to have masks when you're vaccinated, our governor should have made that determination a long time ago based on the science and the data of what has happened in the surrounding states here in Minnesota. But he has not. He has consistently failed to make the right decision based on the actual science and the actual data on the best way to respond to this pandemic. So I implore each one of you, let's put up a unanimous board full of green votes. Let's end the emergency powers, and let's work with those folks in the Senate and our governor to close out this budget on time. We still do have time left. Actually, it was about this time in 2015 when Senator Bach and I kicked the governor out of the room, which is the appropriate place for the governor during negotiations on joint targets. The governor actually, according to our Constitution, doesn't have a say in that. He doesn't get to write legislation. So it is up to the House and the Senate to come up with that agreement together between the two of them. There is still time. We showed that you could make that agreement at this. I remember we went to Almanac, and we came back from Almanac at 7:30, and we got to work and we finished our budget by Monday night. So I hope nobody has thrown in the towel yet on this session, and I hope that folks understand that we came here, our constituents sent us here to get our work done. In addition to the important work of ending the emergency powers right now, which we'll do shortly, we also owe it to folks that are going to be taxed on Monday because of the inaction of Democrats and inaction of our governor to exempt them from the taxes, the unjust taxes that they will pay in on Monday on their unemployment insurance that they receive from the federal government. And on the PPP loans that they had forgiven because they spent 100% of that money keeping Minnesotans employed, which was the right and just thing to do. So this is a real opportunity for us to finish this session together, to finish it strong, and I think what better way than to do that now with a board full of green votes. So I would encourage every member. It's going to feel good. It feels liberating for me to take my mask off yesterday and to stand here and speak so passionately and openly and freely about making sure that our kids in our schools get the education they deserve. And it's going to feel just as liberating for you to press that green button and tell our governor that this is a co-equal branch of government, and a green vote will do exactly that. Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I'd request a roll call vote.
A roll call has been requested. Seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call. Discussion. The member from Douglas, Representative Franzen.
Madam Speaker, and I don't think that I can even say it better than what Representative Dowd has said. Members, it is time to free the children from the mask. Yesterday, when the mask mandate came out, I eagerly texted my superintendent. He hears from me at least once a week, me demanding him and the educators to stand up for our children, allow them to breathe air, stop the psychological and emotional abuse that is taking place with teachers using COVID guidelines as an excuse to shame and berate and belittle the students in the classroom every week. So yesterday, I eagerly sent them this text that said, mask mandate is ending tomorrow morning. When he texted me back saying it doesn't look like it applies to schools. So I quickly messaged Jody Withers and I said, does the mask mandate apply to the schools? And he said, no, it does not. They still have to wear the mask. Then I was bombarded, as I am sure many of you in the chamber and around the state were as well, by parents and students saying, tomorrow, can my child or can I go mask free to school? Can I breathe clean oxygen? And I had to tell them, no, the governor still wants you wearing masks. While everybody else is outside, enjoying life, mask-free, smiling freely, being able to look their friends and their family into their eyes and see their bright, beautiful teeth, our children still have to look at masks. Members, the governor has been wrong each and every time from the start of the pandemic to the end. Yes, we are at the end of the pandemic. It is time to end the masking of our children. We have 2.5 weeks left of public education, members. Let the children be free. Thank you.
The member from Roseau, Representative Burkle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to chime in with Representative Dowd and Representative Franson. This week, Representative Keel and I authored a letter to the governor. Whether it was by oversight or whether it was by intention, or maybe he just didn't understand that in rural areas, there are quite a few graduation ceremonies happening the third week of March. Some might even be happening this weekend. I have a son graduating on the 23rd. 5 days later, we could have a normal graduation ceremony. So our call in the letter was to have the governor move up normal graduations for these kids that have suffered for a year and a half and sacrificed the last year and a half of their high school career in the hopes that maybe they could have a normal high school graduation. I know there's numerous school districts around the state. They're in the same scenario. And just calling on the governor tonight as he moves north to Fergus Falls, Otter Tail County, to fish, that maybe when he gets north, he could address this issue. Still have not gotten a response to our letter, Representative Keel's letter and mine. And I'm hoping that at some level, he'll realize that these kids have suffered long enough, and giving them a graduation and sending them off the proper way is the responsible and right thing to do. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Wright, Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is so great to be able to speak on the House floor in person. And Madam Speaker, Representative Haley, Representative Jurgens, Representative Robbins, Representative Erdahl, Representative Demuth, Representative Dowd, Representative Nash, and the rest of you. I probably should say everybody else's name. Representative Johnson, Representative New Brindley, Representative Mueller. I love seeing your faces. That's why I had to say your names, just to get you to turn around. Did I miss somebody? Oh, Representative Winkler, yes. Yes, I did. I got Representative Johnson. But Representative Winkler didn't turn, so I can't see his face. Oh, there he goes. There he goes. Well, yes, it is so great to not be able to wear a mask. All of Minnesota is rejoicing, Madam Speaker. But we need to end the emergency powers. It is long past time. As we've heard numerous times for several weeks now and tonight, this session, as we well know, Madam Speaker, comes to an end this coming Monday, May 17th. But what happens 2 weeks after that, 2 Mondays? May 31st, Madam Speaker, does anybody know offhand? What's May 31st? Memorial Day. Memorial Day, and what's Memorial Day in Minnesota? The unofficial beginning of summer. Madam Speaker, right now, we have an opportunity to end the continued abuse of emergency powers so that Minnesotans can enjoy an entire summer of freedom and returning to the Constitution. And because we have the opportunity tonight, prior to Monday, May 17th, we have an opportunity to return to the Constitution and have this legislative branch actually act upon its constitutional role for the first time this legislative session, for the first time in more than a year. We have that opportunity right now. There is no more important work than the legislative branch exercising its constitutional role. So, Madam Speaker, members, please push green so we can do our jobs and better all of Minnesota, which is counting on us to return to normal and end the continued abuse of science denier Governor Walz. Thank you.
The member from Hennepin, the Majority Leader, Representative Winkler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, it's important to vote no on this motion today. This motion would take the resolution from rules and bring it to the floor. So first of all, it's a procedural motion, as we have voted against many times before. It's the same vote we've taken many times before. We've also heard many of the same arguments rooted in ignorance, paranoia, and conspiracy before, and we hear
Madam
them
Speaker,
again.
point of order. I guess that would qualify as questioning the motives of a member. Maybe that's the
Representative
most
Daudt.
egregious example I've ever seen, but you know, he calls it out, we might as well too.
Members, just a reminder that it is not allowable to arraign the motives of the members. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, thank you. Members, I was talking about the argument, not the member. So,
It's the motive you were questioning.
Continue. Representative Winkler.
Capacity, not motive. Madam Speaker, we do not have vaccines that are approved for children 11 and under. Vaccines for children 12 to 15 have only just been approved, and so there are no children between the ages of 12 and 15 who fit under the protection of the vaccine and therefore can go without a mask. Preserving the emergency powers makes sure that kids in schools who are not vaccinated continue to wear masks and protect each other. And we need to make sure that we are not telling the public that no masks are required. They are only not required if you are fully vaccinated and protected. So, Madam Speaker, voting no not only protects the continued health of Minnesotans as we approach the end, it also makes sure that the state of Minnesota continues to qualify for $30 million a month in SNAP benefits. It makes certain that Minnesota can respond to changes in the course of the disease, that we can continue to provide vaccines and fast responses, and that the state of Minnesota continues to be alert and ready for changes in the course of COVID-19. So we are not ready to disarm. We are ready to continue opening up in a measured manner, and that is why it's important to vote no and to continue these emergency powers.
The member from Blue Earth, Representative Munson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I support this resolution. I think we need to end this emergency. I also think it's important because we need to restore the balance of power and end this constitutional crisis that's been created in the state. I also want to point out that in response to the governor giving himself these powers, or the legislature really delegating its authority to the governor years ago, we did file a lawsuit and we had a hearing in an appellate court. We're still waiting on the Supreme Court, but it's important to know that the appellate court actually said that the governor should be given the opportunity to either sign or veto legislation ending his emergency powers. They don't even see this as being a legislative veto, which would be unconstitutional and end this whole thing. They feel that if we pass this resolution today to end the emergency powers, that it should go to the governor's desk to sign or veto. We need to figure this constitutional crisis out and make sure this doesn't happen again. And I also want to remind the members that this law, as written in 1231, the governor can, if we go into this summer without the legislature being in session, the governor can simply end his emergency and reissue everything the next day, triggering another 30 days. And he can drag this on forever and ever. It's important to end it now. And if he doesn't sign this order, or if he thinks that he has the ability to veto it, then we should be changing Chapter 12 as part of the end of session negotiations so that we can prevent the governor from doing this again. So please vote no today. It's clear the emergency is over, and let's end the emergency powers. Thank you.
The member from Wright, Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to chime in real briefly regarding the mask mandate for the schools and encourage the governor at this point to and the Minnesota Department of Education to suggest that all the students that are graduating with diplomas are able to take their masks off for their photographs. Now, you might find that ridiculous. I hope that the school boards do that already and seek common sense. But I've been photographing diploma graduation photos of these seniors for 33 years. And it is, I have witnessed in that and observed in 33 years, the most beautiful occasions, the pride and proud of parents and grandparents and family members as they witness their loved ones and their children accepting the diploma. Now, last year I photographed several diploma graduations, and unfortunately some of them had to keep their masks on, most of them. And to have a photograph that lasts a long time, 100 years, and the happiest occasions in people's lives and the family members, to be photographed with that stupid mask on. So I encourage the Minnesota Department of Health, Jan Malcolm, and the governor of our state to encourage the schools and the school boards to allow the students to graduate at least without a stupid mask on when they get their picture during their graduation ceremony. That only makes sense. That's the kindest thing you can do to all the trouble that has and the trouble that the kids have endured these last couple of years. So please, Governor, please, Representative Winkler, and all those who have his ear and Jan Malcolm's ear to encourage the school boards to allow this to happen for their diploma and their graduation ceremonies. That's all I have to say about that for now. Good day, Mr. Speaker.
The member from Goodhue, Representative Haley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. And I just wanted to bring up something to correct something that Representative Winkler said. It has been brought up a number of times before that one of the reasons we need the emergency powers is because of federal requirements around medical assistance and also for the $38 million of SNAP money. I did some research on that, Representative Winkler, this week, and I actually dropped a bill today. We can fix that. So the bill's been dropped. We could bring it up on Monday. So this is, I guess, your preamble to what I hope we can consider on Monday. We can fix this. We can actually do this as a legislature. We do not need emergency powers. The way that the federal statute reads, as you know, the federal government has declared this emergency due to COVID, but it requires that a state have a public health disaster response. It does not require that we have a governor with sole emergency powers and control over all aspects of the government. So my bill, it's only 2 pages. It's a simple thing that we can enact that would allow us to meet the waivers that are needed, would allow us to meet the federal Medicaid and basic health programming funding, and would allow us to have the SNAP money coming in. So I encourage us to realize this is within our control, within our power, and it would be very fitting, I believe, on the last day of this session that we actually take back our legislative authority as a co-equal branch of government. So it's ready to go. I can even give you a copy of this, Representative Winkler, before I leave tonight, and I look forward to waiving the rules on Monday so we can bring it up and get it done. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Chisago, Representative New Brindley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. And first of all, thank you, Representative Haley. The Democrats have not taken this job seriously this year. And so thank you for doing their work for them and putting us in a position that will allow us to ensure that we can receive those federal benefits and end the emergency powers. We can do both. So thank you for doing that work for them. Since they clearly are not taking this seriously. You know, I stood to speak because Representative Winkler said a couple of things that were just not right and just not true. It is true that school-age kids cannot be vaccinated. Some can be vaccinated. But as it turns out, it doesn't matter. Kids are not at risk. In the state of Minnesota, we have had 75,000 cases of COVID among 10 to 19-year-olds. 0 deaths. The reality is, influenza is far more dangerous for children than COVID. It just is. Kids die every year from influenza. It's far more dangerous than COVID for children. Now, I understand that that is not true for adults. COVID was far more deadly for adults than influenza, but not for kids. Not for kids. So, good news. We don't need the mask mandate in schools for our children. Also, just to correct the record, Representative Winkler also suggested that the mask mandate has been lifted for those who are vaccinated. This is also not true. The mask mandate has been lifted for everyone in the state of Minnesota. Except, of course, for school kids, except those who are at least the least risk of contracting COVID or becoming seriously ill from COVID. So those at the least, with the least amount of risk, still have a mask mandate. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about where the governor's loyalties lie, I don't know what would. He is absolutely in the pocket of the teachers union. That's all he cares about.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Representative Winkler, state your point of order.
Madam Speaker, the Masons rule on personality says that personality shall not be brought into debate. It doesn't say only members of the House. Representative New Brindley, in addition to spreading lies about the dangers of COVID for children and risking their health, is arraigning the motives of the governor of the state personally. So I ask you to rule her out of order and take the floor away from her.
Members must confine remarks to the question before the House and avoid personalities. Representative New Brindley.
And I'm assuming that Representative Winkler also heard that reprimand for bringing personalities into debate. The last point I want to make is that really there are 2 reasons that the governor is continuing his emergency powers at this point, because they absolutely are not necessary. They are 100% not necessary. And if the majority, if the Democrats in the House do not want to take care of the issues that need to be addressed, then that is really unfortunate that they are so unwilling to do their jobs. It's just not that hard. So again, thank you, Representative Haley, for doing their jobs for them. At this point, the only reason that the governor is holding on to emergency powers is so that he can do 2 things. He can appropriate money, and he can write policy or laws himself. That's it. And as it turns out, those 2 responsibilities are dedicated to the legislature in the Constitution. And the Democrats have completely abdicated their responsibility. The legislature, this session ends on Monday, the 17th. On the 18th, The governor has what we have now found out is $2.8 billion coming in from the federal government for him to spend however he wants. Because the Democrats are giving him that authority. The Democrats are letting him keep his emergency powers so that he can spend $2.8 billion however he wants. And if you haven't been paying attention to the news, my goodness, you should probably look into how he spent the first batch of federal money. It's disgusting. And now we're just going to give that money back to the governor to spend himself. The only reason for the governor to hold on to his emergency powers at this point is so that he can spend the money however he wants and so that he can write policy for the state of Minnesota, neither of which are granted to him under the Constitution. Members, it is time to end the emergency. It is time to do our jobs and put in place those things that will allow us to receive our federal dollars that we need to take care of Minnesotans. It's not that hard. Vote yes.
The maker of the motion, Representative Daudt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and member. Motion. I'll repeat that because I think my mic shut off there for a second. Thank you, Madam Speaker and members, and thank you to the eloquent members who spoke in favor of this motion. I'm disappointed that we've lost one. It sounds like Representative Winkler's, unless these last couple of arguments correcting his misstatements had an impact on him and he's reconsidering. It looks like we may have lost one vote, but we can almost have a unanimous vote. And I know that you're not all just going to vote along with your party bosses, that you have your mind of your own, and you came here with an election certificate in hand to do your job, the job that our Constitution defines as yours and solely yours, not your party bosses and not your governors. So it's vitally important that we restore this body and our partners over in the Senate as the co-equal branch of government that our Constitution defines us as, that we take the responsibility to set the policy and laws of this state, and that we take the responsibility to appropriate the dollars entrusted to us by the taxpayers of this state. Those responsibilities lie with us and us solely. So there's enough subverting the Constitution and enough ignoring the legislature by our chief executive. It's time that we stand up for the school kids who have been left behind by this governor. It's time that we stand up for Minnesotans who elected us to come here and do those functions. So I still am hopeful. I think we're missing 2 members. So we could still have a 131-1 vote here. And I know that you're all going to do the right thing, so I'm confident that that's what we'll have. But this is something that has been waiting far too long. The governor did extend his emergency powers this morning for another 30 days, so we know that that's his intent. And unfortunately, there is no end in sight. He will keep them indefinitely as long as you let him. And you are the only ones that can prevent him from keeping them. So as we close the arguments here, I implore you to do what your constituents sent you here to do, and let's right the injustice on our school kids who our governor has locked out of the classroom and now masked when the science and the data clearly shows that literally those masks could be more harmful to them than they are helpful. So with that, members, I would just ask for a green vote on this, and then we'll have one more procedural vote to actually pass this resolution. We can send it over to the Senate so they can take action, and we can make sure that by Monday, our kids no longer have to wear masks, and next week they will be in school 5 days because you are the only ones standing between them and the teacher that cares about them face to face in a classroom where they deserve to be. You are the only ones, you and the governor right now, but you're the only ones that can remove him from standing in the way of what those kids deserve and the education that they deserve. So let's do the right thing. Looks like we can still, I actually have faith since Representative Haley and Representative New corrected the misstatements that Representative Winkler said in his comments. I actually have faith that maybe he's had a change of heart and that we could actually make this 132-0. So let's do the right thing. Let's show Minnesota how much we care about them. Let's show these students how much we care about them. And let's vote green and get this resolution passed immediately. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
There being no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Members voting remotely, please vote. Will the clerk call the names of all those members who have not yet voted?
Agbaje.
Agbaje votes no.
Agbaje, no. Baker. Baker. Berg.
Berg, no.
Berg, no. Davids.
Davids votes aye.
Davids, aye. Erickson.
Erickson votes aye.
Erickson, aye. Franzen.
Franson votes yes.
Franzen, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, no.
Gomez, no. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton votes aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson, R.
Hanson R votes no.
Hanson, R. No. Hassan.
Hassan, no.
Hassan, no. Hausman.
Houseman, no.
Hausman, no. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Hertas.
426 days of emergency powers, aye.
Hertas, aye. Keel.
Aye.
Keel, aye. Kosnick.
Kosnick, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Kreshaw. Kreshaw. Kreshaw, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, no.
Mariani, no. Mason.
Mason, no.
Mason, no. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Morrison.
No.
Morrison.
Morrison, no.
Morrison, no. New Brindley. New Brindley, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, no.
Pryor, no. Sandsted.
Sandsted, no.
Sandsted, no. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 61 ayes and 70 noes, the motion does not prevail.